Howdy, how's it going? My name's Davvy Chappy, and today I'm going to be throwing out all sense of subtlety because I'm going to be talking about all of the patrons that your warlock will inevitably make a pact with in the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. Now, you might be thinking, Davvy, why didn't you just include this in your warlock guide? I'm sure people have been asking for it. Well, with the warlock guide, I'm going to be going deep in depth on the actual warlock and all of its bells and whistles, but this video is focused on the oft-forgotten role-playing side that the patrons that all warlocks swear fealty to provide, since I feel like it's something that both players and DMs can appreciate a deeper feeling for. As such, I'll be focusing on who the patrons are, what their motives tend to be, how their followers normally present themselves, and how they interact with those people who come to them and say, gimme gimme magic powers. Keep in mind, as always, that a lot of this is just my opinion and my own ideas on how to run your patrons, so if you disagree with me or feel like running your patron in your own style, have fun and be creative. But with that out of the way, let's begin. So, patron is the catch-all term for a being of immense magical power that has either purposefully or accidentally gifted some other being with much less immense but still definitely magical power. In return, these recipients, now dubbed warlocks, serve to benefit whatever the patron decides, from fetching them apples, to filing their taxes, to supporting them on Patreon. Ha. The amount of contact that each warlock has with their patron varies from pact to pact, with some patrons consistently whispering sweet nothings into their followers' ears, and other patrons literally not even knowing that their warlocks exist. There's not a lot else in common between every patron, given that they're all so different from one another, but the specifications of the rules around your mystic power and what both of you have agreed on is something that both GMs and players can have fun working over. Or you could just be lazy and say, because magic, and leave it at that. But I'll stop beating around the hedge maze and jump into each patron specifically, starting with the Archfey. So if you've ever watched my guide to monsters, you would know that fey creatures hold a special place in my heart, and that place is the fatty, oily bit where cholesterol is slowly taking over. Being enthralled by an Archfey, i.e. an extremely powerful fairy leader, means that your life is bound to dickery and deceit, with your pact often having unwanted side effects that you could only know with a natural 21 in an investigation. Most Archfey act like they're leaving you alone to do whatever dirty work your sad ass got hooked into carrying out, but like every sequel to the Kingdom Hearts franchise, it'll just keep popping back up to teach you what was once a simple and clean contract has been muddied with addendums and redefinitions of the rules and numerical orders that don't make any goddamn sense. The things that they want from you could be absolutely anything, like a rare jewel from the prince's vault or 5 flakes of snow from a mountain, to even abstract concepts like the sadness of a newborn each moon or a piece of rapture. And don't think that once your contract is up, you'll just get to wash your hands and everything will go back to normal. Oh nah, you're in this for the long game. You didn't choose the fairy life chose you. So you know that old trope of a group of cultists running around trying to summon the great demon lord with an impossible to sound name like Archfey or something so that that demon will grant them everlasting power? Well, what if you actually managed to accomplish that? Then you get to make a pact with a Fiend, a devilish creature that, much like a Fae, uses tricky wordplay and underhanded deals to make sure that it's getting even more out of this arrangement than you are. But unlike a Fae, it'll mostly leave you alone to your own devices as it spends its own time plotting to accrue even more power. These creatures often want one of two things: something that'll get them even more power for themselves, or something that will dick over somebody else. As much as Archfey are dicks who don't really care about what happens to you, Fiends are the second least likely patron to give a single flying phlegethos fuck about what ends up happening to you, because unless you are super powerful, that Fiend put about as much faith in you succeeding in your goals as a fried egg on a catapult. It's fun to see how far you go, but in the end, you're still just gonna be a fried egg. But if you wanted the absolute least bit of formal contact with your patron as possible, then try forming a bond with the one thing that everybody keeps getting surprised about the existence of in 5e. Fucking Lovecraftian horrors! Yeah, you heard me, you can talk to Cthulhu, you can guard the gate for Yogg-Sothoth, you can be a dumbass pile of bones for Nyarlathotep. The list is endless. Why are great old ones in D&D? Who knows? What could they want warlocks for? Who cares? It's Lovecraft, no need to ask stupid things like questions. And the best thing is that making a pact with an old one is as informal as it gets. You could just be ruffling through old man Jägermeister's lost collection of old space erotica, and then BAM! You accidentally touched the book of forbidden space knowledge that a great old one once rubbed its cheek over, so now you're infected with the alien worm disease, and all you can see is Fred Savage. The entire mass collective consciousness of human insanity could not help you understand being a patron of a great old one, so sucks if you thought I was going to. You know, the Undying is a very on-the-nose name. Undying patrons are a bit broader in scope, because they just boil down to any creature that has managed to make themselves immortal via spooky means, such as a vestige or the ever-impressive lich. Yeah, that's right, you're making a deal with a lich. Let that sink in as I describe how boned that makes you. Undying creatures, much like fiends, want nothing more than to keep their power and accrue more, usually for the express purpose of continuing to be undead. To this end, their likelihood to screw you over is based mostly on how difficult it was for that patron to become undead. If it's something like a lich, those mofos are smart and they will probably screw you over like a demon, but if they're just a particularly powerful ghost, you might actually not have that much to worry about outside of meeting meddling kids and their dogs. Deals with these kinds of Undying tend to relate to reviving themselves or perhaps sharing their body with you like some sort of supernatural Uber. In any case, expect a sort of surprise, it was me all along type betrayal at the end of your contract, but that's sort of bog standard at this point. Oh hey, someone who might not screw you over, a Celestial. Celestials are angel people and they bless those who they deem worthy with powers beyond what non-believers could ever hope to achieve. Pact with Celestials are much less diabolical and with extreme overtones of secret dickery, and much more, you are my glorious servant, go out and kick some righteous ass, thereby immediately making it the best deal in the house. Usually, Celestials end up wanting you to do what you were were already planning on doing anyway, like saving the town or stopping the necromancer or praying the town red. There's not much to say here. Angels are pretty straightforward, and as long as you don't kill any unicorns, you probably won't be evil enough for them to decide that you're not worth supporting anymore. Now, the last patron that you have to choose from is sort of weird. Instead of a normal creature, you bond with a weapon that is powerful enough to have what would appear to be sentience, but is more likely just magical residue attaching itself to something that won't stop putting its grubby little hands on it. As such, the relationship between the hex weapon, which doesn't even have to be a blade, and the warlock is much more symbiotic and direct, considering both are technically fighting to protect each other. Hexblades don't even necessarily want their warlock to do anything outside of just exist and be the dopest anime fighter that's ever existed. As long as you aren't a dingleberry who uses their most prized possession and source of all your power as something stupid like a letter opener or a wood chopper, you'll be fine and you can go forth and hex all the blades that you'd like. But that'll about do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and comment if you did, and maybe subscribe if you want to be a cool dude. Also, if you want to stay up to date on all of your Davvy news, I keep a link to my Discord in the description below. But yeah, Davvy out.